Okay, this is Trophy Gold Murder at the Sunset Crossroad Inn. I want to let you know, if you're watching the video, that this is a direct continuation of the Hearteater's Hall series. So this will probably make a little more sense if you watch that one first. And also, we're not going to do any of the sort of beginning of game stuff either. So if you want to know more about Trophy Gold, go watch Hearteater's Hall. So we had not done Hearthfire yet as of last time. Hearthfire is the Trophy Gold downtime procedure. We did this at the end of Death Ziggurat. We're going to do it again right now. You all got paid the equivalent of 3 gold, which is, you know, in game terms, a very nice chest of silver. But you all got paid the equivalent of 3 gold for finding Quoton, and so you can apply that to your burdens. To kick off Hearthfire, everybody needs to basically spend enough gold either in items or straight up money in order to cover their burdens, and then also unlock or unmark all of their armor. So do that now. And with whatever you have left over, you can start doing things from Hearthfire. If you scroll down to the bottom half of the character keeper, you'll see all the various things. I recommend saving Hoard for last, even though it's first on the thing. If you have a household, you get to clear any conditions you wish, plus lower your ruin by 1. You can also lower your ruin by doing the healing options. On the healing section. There's some freebies, and then or you can also spend a gold to heal a ruin. I say do the freebies while you can. You can also open up equipment slots. You can learn new rituals, you can learn new skills and other things there. So I'll give you all just a moment to take a look at that. And
I think I still have the silver daggers, all of them, which I think we're about to distribute.
Yeah, you can definitely distribute them. Yeah. It's 2 gold total. So basically, if you want to keep some of them, just you can keep a gold worth and then give the other 2, which would be another gold worth, to someone else.
Yeah, is there anything else we wanted to split up? No.
I don't think that was the only thing I had noted as like communal treasure that we found.
Exactly.
And we had started to split that up because I took the sack of silver and you took the daggers.
All right. So that probably means that whoever didn't get one, yeah. So Mervin, I think then maybe you should get one of the daggers worth 1 gold. So 2 of them, I guess.
I won't turn down one of the daggers, so 1 gold worth, but
yeah, go ahead.
I picked up the ornamental heart and both valuable books from the 2 of the 3 valuable books from the thing,
oh, you're right. So there were the books. So yeah, okay. So
it depends on who needs it the most. I have just enough to cover all my obligations and get healed down to 2 ruin. So if somebody else needs it more than I do, please take it. Otherwise, I would be happy to take it and have a spare gold left over.
Yeah, so you can do something. Let's give you 1 so you can do something else in Hearthfire. So
yeah, I would, because I have 2 gold left over after paying my burdens.
Yes. So I'll give you 2 daggers.
Okay.
Basically.
And I will sell the 2 daggers right away to heal.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to start with Triss, the quick-footed. Also a quick note. A note I got from a YouTube viewer, or not was it a YouTube viewer? I don't know. Someone was asking about like putting character names on the Zoom thing as opposed to your real name. You have the option of doing that if you wish. Adrian already does it, but okay. So Triss, is there anything you'd like to do from Hearthfire?
So the first thing that Triss does, of course, is get back basically, yeah, I think this is probably purely fictional, right? But we said we will establish our base now at the inn at the Sunset Crossroads. So I think that's where he transfers his household to.
Sure.
It used to be the back room in the Dread Dragon Inn. And he had his stash in a Harper's Court. So probably, I think he probably used some of the gold to buy the Harper's Court from the innkeeper and somehow get a wagon to transport it over there or something.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah,
this
I
is the
like
first
that.
thing we
Yeah.
see. And after that, I think basically, I mean, we still have that basement that I think we have to deal with at some point, but the common room looks nice. So yeah, I think he will test out the acoustics and kind of, you know, do a little tap dance or whatever, and ask the other two maybe even to sing a little song. And I think that is for him coming home. And I think that also clears his revulsed condition. Having some of the wine from behind the counter or something takes this kind of the taste of the dead deer out of his mouth, and also he is feeling better, healing one ruin. So I think that's what he does, and I think
I'll probably just move on to the next person while you think about it.
let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nima, what would you like to do on Hearthfire to start?
I think Nima's going to establish a household. I did not do that last time.
Sure.
Is there in the lore of Trophy, it's the sisters, right, that are like
Yeah. So
religious figures?
Yeah, the way it works is there's all sorts of like gods, like many gods, and the sisters sort of are the glue that binds people together.
Okay.
Basically, right? Yeah. So.
Is there a sister already established that's like in charge of healing?
Oh, probably, but I don't know offhand. So
all right.
I'm gonna just make something up.
I will try to comb through the message boards and see if I can find that.
Yeah, I bet you there's something. But for now, we can just say sister. Sister redacted or whatever.
So that the sister of healing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's who my the monastery that Nima is a member of is kind of devoted to.
Sure.
And I think maybe they have like a small ruined church that's near the Sunset Crossroads Inn.
Okay. Yeah.
And since the group is kind of moving in that direction, the head of my monastery has put me in charge of like rebuilding that small little like crossroads church.
Okay. Yeah. Like that. Sounds good to me. Fantastic. So whenever you get a household, you have to increase your burdens by 1. You get to clear any conditions that you wish and lower your ruin by 1 as well.
All right. So my burdens go up to 5 and my ruin goes down to 2.
And also, you've named and described it, which is great. And now you have to, everybody else basically gets to say what memento from your various journeys together, and you've had a few together now, can be found in the church. And then you'll note those down below where it says mementos. So we each get to say something, something from the various adventures. It can be adventures that we haven't seen too, like just maybe sort of hint at your past with each other. That's perfectly fine as well. I, however, am going to say that you have some monogrammed, goblets from Holston Hall.
I love that.
I think it would be very cool if you had one of Sarku's shed fingernails.
I like that too.
I think maybe there's some holy water or something that you keep in the entrance or so in one of the little bowls that used to be used to hold this oatmeal selections at the Sunset Crossroad Inn, which I think we're kind of getting rid of, I think. So
Oh no.
bowls
You,
are now
you swipe some dinnerware from the Sunset Crossroads Inn.
yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Good. Fabulous. Okay, let's go to Vanek. What would you like to do for Hearthfire to start?
Vanek's gonna head home and collapse into his favorite chair and work with his wife to draw up a bath, because it has been a rough few days and he's pretty shaken up, even if he doesn't have a condition that says so. Having to deal with weird people suspended in midair and draining blood, and meeting Sarku and actually having control over a creature that seems that powerful is very disturbing to him. He will set aside the spiral crown very very nervously, handling it now that he knows the extent of its power. But he's not willing to give it up still, so it continues to add to his ongoing burden.
Indeed.
So yeah, he'll relax at home for a little bit to get rid of one ruin, and then sort of go out on the town to embellish his house a little bit with a more lively, the equivalent of getting a new paint job. He'll
Okay.
put some new curios in there that are more relaxing, and buy some nice things for his wife, just to enliven his house, make it cheerier.
Okay. So what are you adding to your mementos then?
Oh, I have to add something. Let's see. I think we will add, and I'm open to suggestions. I'm happy to take some ideas from folks.
I think maybe if you were looking to like cheer the place up a little bit, I'd like to suggest that you took one of the nymph statues from Holston Hall.
I like that.
Okay.
And you could lower your ruin and clear condition if you have any. And let's go back over to Triss. What would you like to do next on Hearthfire, Triss?
So for the household, just to add that, the memento, I think on the Harper's Court that is now set up in the common room, Triss places this book on Valanti spirits that he and alcohol that he brought from Hearteater's hall, from the mention of the lady. And I think because we are now adding beer, I think to our to our selection at the inn, I think one of the things that Triss has done is spend some time learning brewing as a skill.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I think the name of the mentor for that.
Can I name that character, because there's a
please,
perfect character from a scenario that would work great.
Perfect.
Tannen, Tanen.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Tannen a little bit more later, but for now, it's great if he's a brewmeister.
Okay. All right. So what is he famous for? probably brewing. Well, of course, winning the brewing contest in because that basically, I think he, wherever he's from, he has won the brewing contest 10 years in a row, and people are kind of getting suspicious whether that is really just down to his skill. Yeah, and I think how did Triss learn this? I think really basically that he has been completely obsessed with the inn for the last time, while the others might have gone out and sold their stuff and so on. And I think he's basically been when he went back to the place where his household used to be, I think that's where he might have met Tannen and gotten kind of the first instructions, and then we see him basically try again, kind of outside of put up this kind of distillery or brewery kind of concoction outside of the inn, and tries again, and the other two kind of have to taste it, and we see in the beginning they're not really liking it, but then it gets kind of better and better, and in the end we see the three of us just sitting in front of the inn on a bench and kind of having a beer together, and Triss is kind of happy. Why does that increase Triss's burdens?
So I have an idea for that.
Please go ahead.
Tannen, I'm gonna have Tannen be the person who watches the inn, who is the innkeeper when you're not around. And so I think just paying him basically is probably what the burden comes from.
Okay, perfect.
If that's cool with you.
That's great. Yeah.
Fabulous. And your burdens go up by 1. That's good. And you get to add brewing to your training section of your thing, of your skills. Okay, let's go to Nima.
All right. I think the only other thing Nima's going to do right now is add to her hoard. So I have 2 gold left over. Also, for everyone to note, I still have Sarku's tooth necklace. I haven't been able to bring myself to sell it. So without selling that and covering the rest of my burdens, I have 2 gold that I'm going to put into my hoard.
Awesome. Make one of your choices there and do what it says.
Yeah, so I think I want to do what person, place, or thing in town regularly reminds you of your drive. And I think in the town where Assyrio Goldtooth has his hideout, I think there's a open air farm market where farmers from the local area bring their extra produce to sell. And I think Nima remembers as a child coming here, and she would play with the other farm kids while their parents sold their wares. And I think that since our farm has faltered, it's been years since my father has been able to bring anything to the market to sell. And so not only does the market itself remind me of my father's debts, but then on top of that, every farmer I bump into is someone I know, and they all kind of at least know a little bit about what's going on, and all kind of hush hush ask after my father, and it's just this kind of constant reminder.
Yeah, that's good. It's not good, but it's a good description. Fantastic. Vanek, anything else you'd like to do for Hearthfire?
So Vanek, one of the valuable books he found was Sightings of Seaworthy Vessels on the Blossoming Sea. And one of the entries is for Maiden's Promise, complete with illustration and the path it was taking, which would be hugely useful if he ever pulls together the funds to figure out to salvage it. So that's probably going somewhere. That's being stashed somewhere. If I was to actually stash the gold, does the book become part of the hoard?
So if you keep the book, it stays in your found equipment. If you sell the book, it just becomes money, and
Okay.
and you, because you can't access the hoard anymore. So, well, there's one instance which you can, but it's a sort of last sort of like last resort kind of thing. But yeah.
Right. I'm wondering. Normally, you would put gold into your hoard. The book
Oh,
is
you're saying
worth
can
the
you
gold.
put the
book
oh
itself.
yeah, I mean, I guess you can. We still sort of abstract it out to be
Correct.
money, though. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's something that he would find valuable enough to keep, and so he would put that into his hoard as gold or as the book.
I think the way I'd probably note it is I would go ahead and mark it as gold, or
Yep.
mark it in the hoard, and then I would write it in your household, like in your
Yep.
mementos. So
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
if
So,
it's something that you don't like, keep with you all the time. So,
yeah, I would not keep it with me all the time. There's no need for that. Okay, cool. I will do that.
since you're putting something in your hoard, you get to make a choice from the list, and
Oh,
what
right.
it says.
Let's see. I'm going to take the physical appearance. In what way physical appearance reflect your obsession with your drive? I think Vanek has probably always been, have that perpetual frown on his face. But I think he doesn't smile unless he's at home. He's just become more and more intense whenever he leaves his house. And his wife is pretty much the only thing that makes him happy. His home is the only thing that makes him happy. Otherwise, he's completely focused and sort of sullen, as it were.
Nice. Tris, anything else?
Yes. So Tris will let's see, sell a lot of stuff. So he has some gold. Yeah. He's doing a couple of things. I think he's going shopping. So basically, the shopkeeper Randolph, we remember his shopkeeping partner is missing, has been missing for a while, and he goes back and talks about this with him, and he is gonna mark 3 equipment slots, empty 3 of them, and spend 3 gold on that. And then another thing we see is that he the book on the he kind of gets back to reading this book on the Valenti wines, and at the end there's this kind of weird intricate description of how Valenti, like this very involved way of sharing a meal, kind of a ritualistic kind of thing, and you put out some food and then you pour the wine in this way, and it's almost like a ceremony. And at a certain moment he realizes that this is actually not just a description, but it's actually a ritual that has kind of been written down. It's a hospitality ritual.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. Yeah, I like that.
So that is another ritual that he will take.
Nice. That increases your burden, but you do get a new ritual. So add that to your library part of your thing. Maintain peace while you share food and drink. That seems very useful. Your skills and rituals are very focused on this character idea, which I think is great. Good. Okay. I take it, Nima and Vanek, do you all have anything else you need to do on Hearthfire?
I'm all set.
I'm all set.
Okay, so
I'd like to
Triss,
do one
anything
more
else?
thing. Yeah,
Okay.
just carousing again, and spent another gold. And I think I'll answer how I personalized my favorite tavern. And I think basically I'm gonna answer about the inn at the Sunset Crossroads, if that is okay. Even though we have this other favorite tavern that I go to, but I seem to not to the Petulant Loom. I don't seem not to go back there as often now that we have this own and we're
Okay.
doing our own brewing and so on. But I think basically there's this dancer, a wonderful dancer that Triss admires a lot, and that when he was living in a bigger place, he used to go there sometime to see that woman perform. And he has spent this gold to describe also to a kind of to a painter, kind of a pose that this dancer used to take. And this is this painting that he had made. He is hung up in the common room of the inn.
Nice. And are you stashing anything in your hoard?
No, I think I'm just gonna hold on to that one gold.
If it's money,
I
you
can't.
have to sell
Okay,
it. Yeah,
I have
you
to.
can't.
Okay, then I will. Yeah, actually, then I put back. Basically, I'm holding on to the compass.
Okay, yeah, you can put it back
That
as
was funny.
gear. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's it then.
Fantastic. Okay. Murder at the Sunset Crossroad Inn. So you all have assumed ownership of the Sunset Crossroad Inn. Sounds like Triss is very, very invested in it. But I'm sure the two other, Vanek and Nima, probably have shares as well in the Sunset Crossroad Inn to some degree. And I think that you probably initially spent a lot of time there getting it kind of like changed, getting the like dark blood god shrine in the basement out of there, like doing all that stuff, right? And but at a certain point, you sort of get back out on the road, right? And you just periodically return to the Sunset Crossroad Inn as a sort of base. You come back every now and then to talk to Tannen, who is the individual who is a brewer, but who is also responsible for running the inn in your absence. And it has been 2 years since the events at Holston Hall. And in that 2 years, you all have managed to do jobs, to go on adventures, to do different things. I'm going to reflect that by letting you each mark 5 spots in your hoard. So go ahead and do that now. In that 2 years, a few things have happened. The Sunset Crossroad Inn has expanded from 4 rooms to 8. So there is now a back part of the lower floor where there are 4 more rooms. And so you have 4 at the top and 4 on the ground floor. A young cousin of Lady Holston was discovered. It took a long time, but they discovered a young cousin of Lady Holston who has now been installed as the new Lord Holston of Holston Hall, which, if you recall, is nearby. And a few more businesses have sprung up around the inn. It used to just be the inn, but now there is a full-service stable. There is a small shop with dry goods and sundries, and there is a brothel as well. So the Sunset Crossroad is, it's building up. It's not, it's not even a fraction of the Valenti Crossroads, of course, but it is something. It's a start. Now, the young Lord Holston, in an attempt to improve his position at court, has invited a number of courtiers to stay at Holston Hall for a week of hunting and feasting. And the Sunset Crossroad Inn is being used as overflow accommodations. Now, for reasons that are currently unknown, each of Lord Holston's guests from court is using a pseudonym. So the ones that are staying there, you just know them by their pseudonym. You don't necessarily know what they do at court. You all are arriving back at the Sunset Crossroad Inn after having been away for a while, but you're back on the second full night of this gathering. And the inn currently has 7 guests, so 7 of the rooms are taken. There's 1 room for the 3 of you to cram into, but there's 7 other rooms for the guests, and Tannen just sleeps in the sort of like in the back of the house. Now, you've arrived on the second full night. So they've been here a night already. They've had a day of hunting, and now they've come back and they're enjoying food and drink in the inn's dining room. 6 of them are in the dining room when you get there, as well as 3 people from the sort of the tiny community that's built up at the crossroad. Now, if you want to go ahead and I'll just paste them here for you, the names. I have put a tab on your character sheet called Suspects and Clues. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, I'm going to just paste the names of the various characters. Our people from court using pseudonyms are Lady Shrike, Lord Gull, Dame Magpie, Sir Crow, Sir Eagle, and Lady Owl. There is also a Lord Carrion who is not currently in the dining room, but he is also staying at the inn. We also have 3 people from the community. They are Anna, who runs the stable, Corinth, who runs the sundries shop, and Simone, who runs the brothel. And they are all in the main dining room as well. And we also have Tannen.
Sorry, what was the last name?
Simone, who runs the brothel.
Simone. Thank you.
Yeah, I put this all in the tab on the character keeper called Suspects and Clues, so you don't have to type it all down. So everyone's kind of there. Tannen sees you and greets you and welcomes you back. It's probably been a few months since he's seen you. He wants to hear your stories, and he tells you, Triss. He says, "I've just finished a batch. We've just cracked open the cask. Do you want to give it a try?"
Definitely. I think this is normally the first thing we do when we come back. Have a glass of our own brew. I think it settles the tone for coming back home.
And he pours you all a mug and sort of sets it out, and you can be there at the bar, kind of like, enjoying that. I'm curious, just at the outset, as you arrive here, having been gone for a couple of months, there's all these fancy people in the dining room, in addition to some townies. Nima, what do you do?
I think Nima is enjoying her ale and kind of making sure that it's up to the snuff of the Sunset Crossroads Inn name. And she just is kind of still almost in shock at where this has come from our first visit here. She takes another swig and sets her glass down and says, "I miss the oatmeal bar."
Vanek, what are you doing?
Just out of habit, Vanek says, "Oats are for horses." And he says it with that scowl that's not a scowl, because he remembers the last interaction we had here, where Nima brought up the oats. he will go with his beer in hand and greet all of the regulars who he's known for the past 2 years, more or less, or in the recent
Roughly,
year.
yeah.
He'll greet all of them personally and see how they're doing and how business is doing. And after he's had a chance to taste the beer, he will compliment Tannen appropriately and Triss on its quality. It tastes great. I mean, at least we don't have to pretend now that it's exclusively something high class with just wine. We have something to offer everyone, which is a good thing. Add more customers is always good. And he'll make a head motion towards all the guests and say, "Business seems to be good, Tannen. Who are all these folks?"
He says, well, our new young Lord Holston he's having a week-long hunting and feasting retreat at the hall, and he's invited a great number of people from the royal court. I suppose that the people who are most important at court who have decided to attend are staying at Holston Hall. We have the ones that are perhaps one rung down on the social importance ladder staying here. They all just got in an hour or so ago from a day of hunting, and they seem to be enjoying themselves.
They look happy enough. I lean into him and I go, "How many chose the beer over the wine?"
He says, well, this set definitely prefers wine and cordials, but I think I'm bringing them around on the beer. So, and he will kind of like, I mean, he'll give you like a little rundown on everybody, right? Like he'll just kind of give you the from his like, day and a half or so of having known them, or 2 nights of having been around them. He says that he points out the woman who calls herself Lady Shrike. Again, he doesn't know why they're all going by pseudonyms. That's totally unclear. But the one who goes by Lady Shrike, he's like, she's the one there, the sort of very graceful, serious-looking woman there at the head of the table. That's her. She's been grumbling a lot about not being asked to stay at Holston Hall, so you might tread carefully there. He'll point out Lord Gull, who is got a big bushy mustache and an officer's uniform. He says, I'm pretty sure he's a member of the King's Navy, some sort of high-ranking officer in the King's Navy. There's Dame Magpie, who's an elderly woman. He says, she's very funny. Go talk to her if you want to laugh. He'll point out 2 knights, Sir Crow and Sir Eagle. They couldn't be more different from each other, but they're absolutely joined at the hip. And he'll also point out Lady Owl, who is the only one sitting away from the rest of the group. He says, I think she's some sort of court magician, but like a lower court magician. I wonder if she knows that fellow you all talk about sometimes, Quoton. Or knew him, I suppose. And then, of course, Anna, Corinth, and Simone, the townies are here. So he kind of like just gives it a quick survey of the group, right? And chatting, drinking, all that stuff is going on. He says, there's another fellow, but I haven't seen him in a while. Lord Carrion. I think that his pseudonym is a joke on someone's part. He says, I don't know where he's at. I think maybe he took ill and just decided to call it a night. Some time is passing though, and the guests are a little, they're a little tipsy, but they're laughing and chatting and talking or whatever. And eventually, one of them, Lady Owl, gets up to go upstairs to her room. And then there's a commotion. Lady Owl screams, people get up to go respond. Sir Crow and Sir Eagle especially get up to go up the stairs to see what's going on. And if you respond, you will all discover that Lord Carrion is dead in his room. He has been gutted like a fish, and he's laying on the bed. His guts spread everywhere, and that sort of puts the brakes on the party. Now, here's the thing. You all need to figure out who killed Lord Carrion. Everybody had an opportunity to do it. They've either been up and down, in and out, and there's no telling how long Lord Carrion's been in his room like that. You got to figure out what happened to Lord Carrion and quickly, because a murder at the Sunset Crossroads Inn, a murder of a probably very important person, is not going to do much for the reputation of this place. And so the quicker you can put this to bed, the more ably you can put it to bed, the better for your little burgeoning commercial venture here at the Crossroads. So that is kind of the story. In terms of mechanics, the way this is going to work, it's going to mostly function like Trophy Gold, except you will be, when you do hunt rolls, you might also find clues, and that's a capital C clue, which we will note on the sheet. At the end of the session, or whenever you're ready, whatever comes first, you will take a look at all of your clues, and you will theorize about who did it, what happened. There is no canonical solution. The solution is entirely up to the three of you based off the clues that you have. You can add any kind of context that would be helpful for the clues to make your theory work. And at the end, we'll roll some dice to see if you're correct or not. You're going to get one light die for every 2 clues you incorporate into your theory. And then you can add a dark die. You can add as many dark dice as you have light dice. So you can add up to that many. And then you're going to roll, and we're looking for the 2 highest. A 10 or higher is you're correct. So a 10 or 11 is correct, but there are varying degrees of dangers or complications in making the accusation. If you get a 12, you're fully correct, and you safely bring the person to justice. You can also spend your hunt roll tokens to get clues as well. So you can get a clue just from doing a hunt roll, and you can also spend a token to get a clue as well. You can also spend your hunt roll tokens in the normal way to get treasure. There is no burden requirement for this little mini adventure. So any gold that you get goes straight to Hearthfire and not having to satisfy your burdens, okay? And so with that, I'm gonna put us on a 5-minute break. We'll come back and we'll get started. A couple of other things before we get started. I did put a list of like basic locations to sort of like that this mystery will take place in. There's the dining room, there's the rooms of the various guests, there's the back of the house and that basement area. Also, you could go outside of the inn to the stable, the shop, or the brothel as well. And one other note about the dice that I kind of forgot to say. So the way the dice for when you're getting ready to like make an accusation to do your theory, you'll every 2 clues that you work into your theory or otherwise explain away get you 1 light die, and then you can take a number of dark dice equal to up to as many light dice as you have. So if you get 4 light dice, you could take as many as 4 dark dice as well. The problem is, if a dark die matches a light die in the roll, then you all take ruin, and that represents the reputational damage of the Sunset Crossroads Inn. So you'll have to kind of be a little strategic in like how many dark dice to do on that roll. The best thing to do is to get lots of clues and have a theory that includes all the clues, right? And so also there's a distinction as well between like capital C clues which get listed and like just the general context of the game, right? Like you're going to be learning lots of information that isn't necessarily a clue, but you can obviously use it in your theory and use it to like justify what your answer. So. And so we pick up with most everybody going back down to the dining room, a little grave look on their face. I think Simone and Corinth and Enna leave. They go back to their places in the little, little crossroads there, back to their businesses, back to their homes. And it's the three of you, the guests, and Tannen. And the guests are sort of either in shock or they are just sort of like trying to figure out what to do about this, right? Do they tell Lord Holston? Do they does this ruin the whole week? And so forth, right? And so I think I'm going to start with Triss. Triss, what do you do right now?
I think Triss is going to say to basically so we are starting right in the situation where it has been discovered and then everybody has kind of spread, and I think Triss is going to ask whoever is up for it to gather in the common room to kind of take our minds off of this, and I think he will play some music, kind of maybe I think he actually is going to start by, I think the plan is basically get everyone down and kind of get their mind off of this terrible tragedy. And I think the hook to do it is basically say like, I think Triss is offering, you say like, he's just telling Tannen, please tell our guests, I'm going to play a little piece in honor of Lord Carrion. So whoever feels up to attend, if they are not too shaken, please meet together in the common room in about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna play something in honor of our slain guest.
Is this to get people to sort of like open up to you? Is that the goal here, or is it just to?
Yeah, I think Triss, in a way, I think it's also to get people together to maybe also see if someone does not attend, but also actually to really get them off, like basically off brooding on this, because we are running a business here as well, right? So I think this is kind of the way to get them, and then maybe Triss. I mean, it's not going to be a party, but Triss will kind of continue to maybe play some music, and then we will have some beer and wine, and people will hopefully soon forget about this that the place where they're staying there was just a murder just took place.
Yeah, I mean they're not likely to forget, but they might at least be like
Exactly.
put at ease for a moment. I like this as a hunt roll with carousing to see, because you are trying to get information as well, like who attends, how do people behave, and all that kind of stuff. So do a hunt roll with 2 dice. Let's see how that goes.
Let's see. It's the 4.
Okay, take your token. You will encounter something terrible. We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll talk about everything that you discover in a moment. I'm going to go over to Nima. Nima, what do you do here at the start?
So I think Nima would first kind of make sure that Lord Carrion's room is vacated. That there's no one hanging about. And then she would go find Vanek. I think we need to search Lord Carrion's room. I can investigate the body, Vanek, but I know you have a knowledge of history Perhaps you could do some investigating to try and find out Lord Carrion's actual identity.
I'd be happy to help. I'm a little wary of prying into noble affairs, but perhaps we can be forgiven if we uncover who the perpetrator of this horrible crime is.
Yes, it is. I mean, the privacy of our guests is of utmost importance, but I do think that finding out who Lord Carrion was may bring us some clues as to who may have wanted him dead.
Indeed. And if I recall, it was Lady Owl who cried out first. Is that right? Yes. So we should perhaps try to figure out who went upstairs just before she did. Those would be my first two picks.
Yes, that is a good. We can perhaps pull Tannen and Triss in next and see if we can remember anyone leaving.
Yes.
So it sounds like you're going to look at the body, Nima. You mentioned that. Is that something?
Yeah, I wanna investigate the body using my surgery skills, try and find out if I can figure out roughly how long he's been dead, if there's anything.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the primary cause of death is evisceration, but if there are any other kind of wounds that might not be super obvious.
Take a 2-die hunt roll for surgery.
All right, that is a 6.
Nice. Take your token. I will tell you that the blood has started to coagulate a little bit, and so he likely did not get killed right before Lady Owl went up. It probably happened sometime earlier in the evening. They got back in the late afternoon, so it theoretically could have happened at some point between then and now. But certain like bits of blood coagulation make you think that he's been this way for a little bit at least. So that's one thing. The second thing is you get a clue, and that clue is you're looking at his body, and I assume you're like kind of, just looking at this sort of wound, the guts and things like that, right? And you find a severed finger in the body. It's not his. It's another finger, but it's a clue of something. So you could put that in the clue list if you haven't done so.
Excellent. It looks like someone. Does the finger look like fairly freshly severed?
That's hard to tell because of where you found it, right? Amidst a bunch of blood and guts.
Yeah.
But just hold on to the finger for now. You can add context to it later when you're theorizing. But for now, it's having a severed finger is a good thing to have in your back pocket for figuring out what happened here. So, and you have your token as well. So, let's go to Vanek. Vanek, you said you were going to start questioning people, or?
No, I was searching the room to see if we had any clues for who Lord Carrion actually was.
That's a great idea. Go ahead and do a hunt roll.
And if this is considered a lair,
sure, yeah, I'll take it.
I will too. /hunt 2. Got a 5.
Indeed. Take your token, and I think the thing that will probably give away who he is that he has, among his personal effects, you'll find essentially like a medallion that's his badge of office. And because of your connection to, don't you have a connection to a lord?
Yes, I do.
You
live on his property.
Yeah, you will know from just your connection to him and discussions you've had with him and things, that this badge indicates that Lord Carrion actually had a pretty high position at court. He was the treasurer.
Holy cow.
Now, That's good information. It's not a per se clue, but it is definitely information that you can hold on to. You're also going to encounter something terrible. We'll come back to that. So Triss. People have gathered at your best. They're all there. Everyone shows up. Dame Magpie says, so I imagine you're going to be playing a funeral dirge for us tonight?
Yes, I'm going to definitely begin with some quite respectful and well, tragic tune, because for sure it is a tragedy that this fate has befallen this companion of yours under our roof.
She laughs. She says, oh, if only Lord Carrion were worthy of such salutes. He is a bit of a fool, if I'm being perfectly frank. I think everyone here will agree. And very, very obstinate. I mean, he named himself Lord Carrion, for goodness sake. He always felt very put upon by the rest of us. And Lady Shrike says, I think that's enough, Dame Magpie. And they're kind of, you know, and Dame Magpie says, she's dressed in a sort of like lavender gown. And she says, well, I wish I had brought something black for the occasion.
What would you have me play then, Dame Magpie?
Oh, well, how about a reel? Let's have a dance. And then everyone kind of groans because they think she's not treating this very seriously, right? No one's treating the situation seriously. And the thing you're going to discover that's the sort of terrible thing is they all seem to hate Lord Carrion. Like, they all, like, nobody has anything good to say about him. Lord Gull, or not Lord Gore, Lord Gull, Lady Shrike says something like, well, I mean, if we're talking about who did it amongst us, I suppose we all have a motive of some sort. I mean, at the most basic level, he was a completely insufferable man. The world is better off without him.
Well, still...
Lord Gull says, I do feel sorry for you and the proprietors of this establishment once word gets back to the court that the royal, or that a member of the court was murdered here. I suppose that's not going to be very good for business, is it?
No, this is why we will, as quickly as possible, get to the bottom of whatever happened here. I think this does not concern all of us here for now. For now, despite all the difficulties and differences you might have had with Lord Carrion in life, I think in death we all can spare a few minutes to think of him and how he made an impression on all of our lives, especially I think our friend the innkeeper will also have something to think about, as you have already spent 2 days here, 2 nights, and I think all of you are quite impressive people. So I'm sure he also made an impression, Lord Carrion. The only people I think that had not the chance to meet him were the 3 of us who came too late, it seems.
They let you play your song. And when it's all done, When it's all done, Sir Crow, who is a knight, he has dark hair, he's very brooding, he's the most quiet of everybody there, but very, very handsome. He sort of gets up and says, "That was very fine playing," and he puts a silver crown in your hand as a tip. But the funny thing about this silver crown is that it's stamped with a mocking image of the king. It's not like, it looks like the king, but like it's stamped to look like a mockery of the king. Blaine and Merwin, any idea like how the image might be like altered to be making fun of the king instead of like respecting the king?
Maybe it's like the standard is just the king's face, and this one has like a caricature of him like just shoving handfuls of food into his mouth.
Okay, good. I like it. Yeah, it's like his mouth is stuffed with like food coming out of it, right? That's your clue that you get, Triss, to add to the list. A coin marked with a mocking image of the king, given to you by Lord Crow, if that's important, or Sir Crow. Back up at the room. What's next, Vanek? You seem to have pretty well settled on the idea that he is the royal treasurer, which is important information. What's next?
If I've managed to ascertain that, I'm at a bit of a loss. I don't want to necessarily be caught running around with this medallion, and everyone at court should already know who he is.
They will know who he is. Yep.
So I leave it where I found it, because it's A, it's not mine, and B, I'd probably get in trouble if I had it. Something terrible happened, but I don't know what that is yet. And if I've managed to ascertain his identity, I guess the next thing would be to see if there are any, presumably the only people in his room would have been him and us, other than the innkeeper himself.
Or the murderer.
Or the murderer. So if there's anything left on the floor or rolled under the bed, I will search for that sort of thing.
You begin your search, and you hear from downstairs outside, there is a dog that is just going ham at the window. And you'll look down and notice that this dog is like barking and going crazy, and Tannen has to keep like pushing the dog out the door, like getting the dog out. But the dog like really wants to come into the main common room for some reason, and the Tannen won't let him. But the dog is very, very agitated. That's unusual. What do you do?
I will call down to Tannen. Did the dog come with one of the guests?
Tannen says, No. This is a stray that's been coming around the last few weeks. I've been feeding it. I know. Don't get on to me about it, but I just can't turn them away. But he's certainly, something's got him riled up right now.
And it wants to come in?
Yes, it's very insistent right now, and he's like kind of pulling the dog like away.
Do you usually let them into the inn?
No, of course not. Of course not. I just feed him out here. He's never wanted to come in before.
Okay, well, I'll look for some rope, and I'll tie a leash basically around the dog. Well, I'll go down and tell Tannen if he wants to come in. I want to know why, because if you haven't invited him in, perhaps someone else did.
And we'll pick up with that in a moment. Nima, after you're done with your exploration of the body, then what?
I think then I will kind of try and case the room, very specifically looking for maybe signs that there's forced entry, like if it looks like the door was forced open or one of the windows or anything along those lines.
Sure. Make a hunt roll.
All right. And I think I have very specifically breaking as a skill, breaking things to, is that what it's called? It's destruction.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that is another 6.
Nice. Give me just one moment. You're looking for all the trademark signs of a door or a window being wrenched open, and like put back as if nothing happened, right? You're not noticing anything like that, though. Clearly, whoever came into the room wasn't a surprise to Lord Carrion, right? They were either allowed in or they had access in some other way. However, one thing that you'll notice is that on the outside frame of the door, there is a handprint, as if someone set their hand there. And it's a very like dark, like almost like a soot handprint on the outside wall around the door frame. And that's a clue. So, and you get a token as well.
Excellent.
I want to pick up with you, Vanek. So you're going downstairs, right?
Yes, I am.
Tannen is like, I don't know what's driving this dog so crazy. There's something going on in the common room that's driving him nuts.
I'm not letting him in the common room. Does he wants to go in there? Everybody else is in there.
Well, I don't know. Maybe one of the guests has a sausage in his pocket. I don't know.
I don't either. Fine, I will ask forgiveness. I say hold the dog while I go there. And I'll give him the rope, and then I'll open the door of the common room, and I will say, "My pardons, good guests, but I have somewhat of an unusual occurrence outside, and I would like to take perhaps the most gentle means to resolve it. If I could beg a moment of your patience." And
Dame Magpie says, "We've just seen our traveling companion and fellow courtier gutted, split open like a deer up in his room. I think we can handle whatever brooches of etiquette you have prepared for us, sir."
Vanek doesn't smile, but he'll close the door quietly and then go back and get the dog and see what it's after. He will have it on a very short leash. And
take a hunt roll. Yeah, take a hunt roll.
And I don't think I have any applicable skills here. No animal handling, appraisal, dismantling, history letters. No, I don't have anything useful. So just a hunt one. Unless the dog counts as equipment.
No.
It's only a 2.
The dog wrenches free from
That's
your hand.
Okay.
It runs. I mean, it absolutely just like bolts for Sir Crow, one of the knights. And Sir Crow immediately goes for his sword because he sees this dog rushing at him, snarling and snapping. And the dog like leaps to attack Sir Crow, and Sir Eagle like sort of just like wallops the dog and sends it flying off to the side, and it yelps and skitters off.
Okay.
And Sir Eagle looks at you and says, "Is that what you had in mind for satisfying the dog's curiosity, to sick it upon my friend?
I do my best to tackle the dog at this point, and I say, begging your forgiveness, good guests. I did not mean to leave it. I did not mean to let it take its leave of me. I he'll I say, did you feed it outside or something, Lord? I mean, it looked angry. It didn't look like it was coming for food, sir, good
Sir
sir.
Crow says, I have no idea why your dog hates me so. And he sort of like huffs off to his room. And
Okay.
Sir Eagle says, he kind of follows him,
Okay.
and they go to their room. They have a room in the lower floor, so they just kind of go off to the hall. At that point, Lady Owl, this young woman who was identified as a sort of like court magician or a magician's apprentice or something, she's a very like kind of she's young, she's really quiet, she has not been engaged with anyone really the whole time. She's got her nose in a book, and she kind of like comes up to you and she says, oh, that was not good, that was not good at all. Do you know who that is?
I do not, milady. I'm sorry.
Well,
Armed as he was, I would assume he was some senior member of the troop, but I would not know.
you have to promise to say nothing.
Of course.
Well, Sir Crow is the crown prince, the king's own son.
Yipes.
He's here,
Okay.
enjoying a bit of a time in the country with Sir Eagle, his bodyguard and companion. And, well, this isn't good. It's not good.
Would you happen to know if he mistreated the dog outside?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about the dog. And she just says, but I would definitely avoid them.
Understood.
And she goes back to her book, and this is a clue. This dog is highly agitated at Sir Crow. And you might, maybe for your own notes, you can note that Sir Crow is also the crown prince. So, Triss, your attempts at easing everyone's nerves are shot by the fact that the dog nearly attacked one of the guests. What are you doing now?
Yeah. Two of them have already left. I was wondering whether it's time for some hospitality, but there is not really. Maybe in the morning, we'll see. I think what Triss wants to do is, I mean, weird things that go on here. There used to be something very somehow mysterious and evil in the basement. I think Triss wants to go down into the basement and maybe get some new wine, maybe for the people who are still here, to get them, fill up their glasses again, and see whether in the basement there's something. He has this kind of nagging feeling that evil still lurks down there. It might have something to do with what is going on.
Sure. So you just kind of like just searching in generally, or are you doing anything in particular when you go down there?
I think so. I think Triss is really going down to get two bottles of really good wine for the Dame and Lady Owl and the others that are still here. But I think also kind of he takes, I mean, there was this kind of altar or something in one corner of that basement, right? And so I think that's where he kind of lingers and kind of stares at that and kind of looks and sees whether there's something to be seen.
Take a hunt roll.
Let's see. I think that's just one die, I think. Right. Yes, let's see. A 6.
Oh, nice. You're down there looking around. Take your token. You're down there looking around when Dame Magpie comes down the ladder to the basement. She says, "Ah, this must be the tasting room. I was wondering where the more potable beverages were consumed in this place. This must be it."
Who is it again, Lady
Dame
Shrek?
Magpie.
Oh, Dame Magpie. Okay, yeah.
It's an older woman
Okay.
wearing kind of the lavender
Yes.
dress. She has a cane.
Yes. So basically, I think Tris is going to say, well, this is definitely where we keep the wine that we bring out on special occasions or for the right guests like yourself. I was just about to get some more, but now that you're down here, would you care maybe also for tasting a glass from one of our barrels in the back directly?
Yes, of course. So please. I didn't have near fall down and break my leg getting down here just to not have a glass of wine.
Yes. So Tris is going and pouring like a little glass and handing it to her. It's I think it's a Valenti wine that we got only this year. We brought it back from one of our last travels. Took us quite far.
She sips it and says, "Yes, it is. I would describe it as aggressively adequate. Now, let's get down to business. I know that you are trying to put this situation with Lord Carrion to bed as quick as possible, and I don't blame you. No one wants this sort of thing hanging over their establishment. Certainly, it's going to be the talk of the town when we get back to court. And it's probably best if the story is accompanied by a recounting of how the proprietors of the establishment were able to help us figure out who did it in service not only to the victim, but to the king and the stability of the land and all of that. I have a theory."
You do?
I do indeed.
Well, I would gladly pour you another glass and hear more of it, lady.
My theory is, well, it's not much of a theory. It's more of a, it's based on instinct, I suppose. But today, on the way back from Holston Hall, I realized that Lord Gull and Lady Shrike, if we're calling them that, were not keeping up with the group. And so I fell back on my pony to see what was the matter, and I overheard the two of them having the most intense argument. I don't know exactly what they were arguing about, but they were both red-faced and furious, and Lady Shrike, well, she stormed off and caused her horse to catch up with us. She was so angry. Now, I'm not saying there's a connection, but I think there's a connection.
I understand. I think these are the kind of things that you have to pay attention to. Say, I was wondering also what you could tell me about what relationship did Sir Carrion have with the Crown Prince and his companion? And I'm gonna hand her another glass of a really good wine and spend a token to get another clue.
Yeah. So you did get a clue, which is the argument between Lord Gull and Lady Shrike. And if you're spending the token, she'll say, "Well, what an interesting thing. Of course, Lord Carrion is, well, I'm not supposed to say because, well, we're not supposed to be saying who we really are. But let's just say that Lord Carrion is responsible for the king's money. And let's just say that Sir Crow and his bodyguard, Sir Eagle, they are very, very good at spending the king's money. And, well, I know that they were being cut off recently. I'm sure there was some anger about that somewhere in there. That's your clue. Sir Crow and Sir Eagle. Profligate spenders.
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna cut
thank
away
you.
to
Yes.
Nima. So Nima, you found this sooty handprint, then what?
So I think the first thing I want to do, because I know that the other shoe is going to drop very soon, is spend one of my tokens to get a treasure.
Nice. Where are you spending it?
I think in Lord Carrion's room.
Okay. He has under his pillow a small sack of silver. It's worth 1 gold.
And then I want to do. How many fireplaces do we have in the inn?
It was originally 1, but in the 2 years, it's been retrofitted to where it's a 2-sided fireplace. So
Okay.
one side of the fireplace looks into like a little small, like almost like small dining breakfast room thing that the lower rooms can kind of have access to. So.
Okay. I want to go down with the sooty handprint that I found.
Yeah.
I want to investigate the fireplace and see if I can see. That's the only place I could think of maybe that one would get sooty.
Yeah.
Within the kind of general confines of the inn. Like there might be a place in the basement, but that's normally locked.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Tell me how you're investigating, and then just make your hunt roll.
So I think because there are still people around, I don't want to be like completely blatant about it. So I think I'll get a broom and like pretend that I'm, sweeping up in that area, while trying to look to see if I can see an area where like the ash has been disturbed, or if there's, maybe something hidden in there.
You can take 2 dice for narrating the broom in.
That is a 5.
Take your token. Which side are you searching? The like empty small breakfast room side, or the common room side where there's some people at? Oh, you're muted.
It'd help if I unmuted myself. I think that the empty breakfast nook side is where I would start.
Okay. You're searching around, and I don't think you are finding anything there. There's no boot prints or nothing like that. Nothing really going on as far as that goes. You get your token, but the more interesting thing is there is someone in the shadows. They have a knife pulled on you, and you can't make out what they look like. They're in the darkness. It's a dark room, but they have a knife pulled out. You can see the glimmer in the fire, or from the firelight, and they lunge. And it's combat, endurance 7. Describe how you're vulnerable.
I think because we are, we were originally here just to kind of decompress and unpack after our journey. So I think that I left my standard weapon, my large walking stick, either in the room we're staying in, or I probably stopped by the church that I've been rebuilding. So I don't have my standard weapon with me, which like the broom can work in a pinch, but isn't. It's a very different beast.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Make your week. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what your number is. 4. And make your first die roll. You need 7. Obviously, you can't get it, but go ahead and just roll. See what you. Okay.
So close.
It's so close. Yeah, 6 is pretty close. Give me just the first round of combat. What happens?
So I think because I was able to see the glint of the fire in the blade of the knife, I'm not caught completely unawares. And as the attacker lunges at me, I'm able to kind of get my broom up in both hands as the knife is kind of driving down towards Nima's heart, and push the attacker back a little bit.
Nice. We'll come back to that. Vanek, after this incident with the dog, after you sicked a dog on the crown prince, the young man who will one day sit the throne and rule all of you, what do you do?
Well, my expression deepens even further. That's not going to be good for my reputation at all. And I get the dog as tightly controlled as I can and march it out of the inn and all the way to the stable.
Anna will meet you there.
Yeah. So is there anywhere we can tie this animal up? I don't want it disturbing the guests anymore.
She's like, sure, I'll take it. He's been so agitated pretty much ever since that lot got to the inn. This is terrible. A murder at the inn. Gosh. Did
you happen to see any of them mistreat the animals or anything?
No, I didn't see anything like that. I don't know what could have gotten into him.
This one is particularly aggressive towards one of the guests, and I was just wondering if anything seemed amiss or anything had caused his reaction.
She says, "Well, I didn't see anything, but I work with enough animals to know that sometimes animals can see things that the rest of us can't. They just have a feeling sometimes. Maybe whoever's got this one riled up just has that kind of aura, you know?"
Well, we're currently looking into who might have done the deed, as it were, and do you mind keeping a watch on the door to make sure no one comes in? I'd like to take a look at the saddlebags of the unfortunate guest who passed.
Of course, yeah. I'll keep an eye out to take a look at all of them if you want. It's mostly ponies, but there are a couple of horses too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go through everything and see what I can find.
Yeah, I like that. So looking at saddlebags, looking at saddles, that's good. Go ahead and make it a hunt roll.
Okay. 4.
Take your token. Your terrible thing is going to be your clue also. You're looking at the saddles, you're checking, kind of checking all that out. You'll notice there is a strange contraption, if that's the right word, I'm not sure. But like basically one of the saddles has been booby trapped. It has been, there's basically like a firecracker underneath the saddle, and it's situated so that perhaps the friction of riding the animal would cause it to light, and it would pop and probably startle the animal at the very least, and who knows what the purpose of this was, but it looks like someone was trying to like booby trap the saddle so that the animal would be startled.
Whose horse is this? Is there a way to tell?
I mean, Anna will tell you.
I know.
I mean, she'll say, well, what have you found there? It looks like you've got something.
Well, nothing good, I'll tell you that much. Someone seems to have tried to cause this mount to become unsteady.
Well, this is the horse that the one calling himself Sir Eagle was riding on one of the nights.
Okay.
She says, I've seen tricks like this. I've seen people play tricks like this. It's to get the horse to buck the rider off.
So less of a, it is not dangerous so much as it is playful? I wouldn't consider this play.
Perhaps. I mean, I suppose it depends on the circumstances. If it was, depending on where you got bucked off, it could be much more dangerous than at other times.
But it wouldn't go just because you sat on the saddle. You would have to be riding at some pace.
At some pace, or someone would have to light it, I suppose.
Mm. Very well.
But if you were going at some pace, and that was enough to cause it to light from the friction, much as if we're lighting a campfire, well, you'd have to be going pretty fast, in which case being bucked off would be very dangerous.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. Mum's the word, by the way. You don't want to...
Of course. This is also strange. I mean, what do these people get up to at the court?
Well, the thing about courtly people is, unlike us who have many things to keep our days busy, they do very little and so have a lot of time to do things that are of less purpose.
It would seem so. I'm going to get one more combat round in for Nima. Meanwhile, dagger being held by the broom handle, then what?
All right.
Or make a roll combat 2. No, not good.
That is not.
But you did not take a hit, so just keep the struggle going. What happens then?
So I think Nima is very large and very powerful, so I think she's able to with the push the attacker a few steps back, hoping to throw them off balance, but failing pretty miserably at that. So they come right back in with their knife, slashing kind of wildly, but unable to get through my broom defense.
Indeed. Let's cut over to Triss. So Triss, you're having this very informative conversation with Dame Magpie, and she keeps making sort of backhanded compliments about the wine as you go. So then what?
I think Triss will say, shall we go back up and join the others?
She's like, yes, you'll have to help me up. I'm not
Yes.
much of a climber as I used to be, but yeah, you can help her up. And you all come out. Tannen will meet you there, and he'll be like, is everything okay down there?
Yes. The lady was just interested in our selection of wines, so I offered her. I think today is a special day, so.
Has the lady considered one of our ales brewed here in house? And Dame Magpie says, certainly not. And she keeps going.
Well, you know how it is with these courtly people, Tannen. Even our best ale will not suffice. But yes, in any case, I think I will continue to entertain our guests. I think this seems to be a quite useful way of keeping their minds off this tragedy, while the other two are hopefully getting closer to figuring out what happened here. Did you how did they behave over the last couple of days, being here Did you notice anything about Lord Carrion that was off? Was he anxious or anything over the last day?
Make a hunt roll. Tana would normally be very open with you, but you know he's a suspect, so.
Let's see. Oh, that's a 1.
Tannen says, well, he sets his ale down. I mean, now that you mention it, I do seem to recall. And then he collapses at your feet, dead. We'll take a 5-minute break. Back at the combat with this assassin, this murderer, in the little breakfast nook, which is literally just feet away from everybody else. but you know, the crackling fire prevents anyone from noticing. Let's have
Makes
that
sense.
last. Let's have a combat 3. Looking for 7. 7 on 2 dice. Got it.
There we
You
go.
do take a hit,
I do
though.
take 1 hit.
You do take a hit. This person, they do manage to get past. They slip the dagger. They kind of like stab you in a. They think they're getting you in between the ribs, but it hurts, but it's not a deadly blow. Your ruin goes up unless you mark armor. But they get the dagger in, and they say, "It took me enough time to find you, Simone, but no more." And
Interesting.
but you do finish them off. What does it look like? Also, are you marking armor, or are you just letting that?
I'm gonna take the 1 ruin.
Okay.
I want to save my armor for what might be a
conflagration later on.
worse hit. I don't think Nima like outright kills him, but I think like as the dagger kind of slips past my defenses, I'm able to push back again and like use the broom to trip them. And then I just kind of get down, knee on the chest, and like cold cock them in the side of the head and knock them unconscious.
Nice, good. Catch your breath. They are a kind of a rough-looking fellow, very poor traveling clothes. The dagger is not even that great. It's a little rusted, poorly made. This is a cat spot at best. I mean, very, very. If someone was trying to kill Simone, it's unclear from looking at him whether he would have been like hired to kill Simone, or been hired to kill Simone, or if he was like somebody who Simone used to know who was trying to kill her. But in any case, he didn't recognize you as improperly, like maybe. So I don't know. You can draw whatever conclusions you want, but he thought you were Simone. So it's not a clue. It's just a thing. I mean, it's good information, but it's not a capital C clue anyway. But what do you do after that?
Would I spend a hunt token to get a clue out of that?
Absolutely.
I will do that.
Assuming you take the time to search his body.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I get any weapons off of him in case he comes to.
You find something very interesting indeed. A note on his body. The note is, give me one moment. The note describes Simone, describes the place where she lives here at the crossroads. You do have some similar appearance, like some similar features to Simone, which is why the mistake might have been made, in addition to the fact that like you both live there, that she lives here and you were here and you're not a member of this group of people. The note, though, most interestingly, is that the reward for her death is being paid by the royal treasury. Somebody at court wants this brothel owner out in the sticks dead.
Very interesting.
That's your clue. Let's cut back over to Vanek. So Vanek, you've just learned something very interesting. What do you do then at the stables?
Let's see. Vanek will file that away. He will take the firecracker out from the saddle, just so it's not a risk anymore. It wouldn't be, I mean, especially not coming away from our stable, because then it could be blamed on us. And he'll leave the dog in care of Anna and head over to Corinth, just on the off chance, head over to the shop, just on the off chance that maybe Corinth saw or heard anything, or they frequented his shop for anything.
Yeah, so Corinth is a middle-aged man. He doesn't have any family. He basically set up here because he thinks this place is on the rise, right? And so he's trying to get in on this crossroads that might, turn into an actual proper town at some point, or a village at some point. He wants to be the mover. And he'll let you in because the shop's not open, but he's there. And he says, Vanek, come in. This is awful business. I mean, a body. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah. We're trying to clear the inn's name at the very least, or minimize the damage to the.
I should hope so. I mean, we will all suffer if this goes poorly, Vanek.
Yes. Is there anything you can tell me about the guests? Did any of them come in here? Did you hear any of them talk about anything at all that might shed some light on who might have done this? I mean, I wouldn't think to suspect any of us who make our living here. That would be absurd. But the newcomers, the guests.
Make a hunt roll. See what it gives you.
Okay. 2. Something terrible.
He says, well, I have to say, yes, I did overhear something that gave me pause. I don't really know what to make of it. I don't even know if I should repeat it to you. It's really too horrible to think about, to be quite honest.
I will hold it in the most confidence, I assure you.
Well, I think that young Lord Holston may have a bit of his relative, the late Lady Holston, in him.
That's not good.
No, it is not good. according to, well, I just heard some chatter between the two knights. They seem to be equally disturbed, but apparently whatever they're hunting up there this week is, let's just say it's not deer and boar. It's something else entirely.
They're hunting, whatever hunting at Lady Holston's, at Holston Hall, you're saying. Well, that's definitely not good.
No, not good. I mean, it could just be two young men just spouting off. I mean, they may not really know what they're talking about, but I know the stories of Lady Holston. I know the sorts of things she got up to before she disappeared. I mean, they never did find her. And, well, it seems like the whole Holston bloodline is a tainted one, you know?
It would seem that way. You would not believe what we saw when we went there. I'm going to go ahead and spend a hunt token to make him open up a little bit more and get a clue out of this.
Absolutely. Give me a moment. He says, and yet, there may be a softer side to Lord Holston after all. This is very silly, but I was asked to hold this for one of your guests. I assume they're going to retrieve it at some point to deliver to Lord Holston. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I couldn't help myself. And he pulls out what is evidently a love letter written by Lady Owl to Lord Holston. I think she was going to present it with some sort of gift at some point, something here from the shop. But, well, that old woman, the one that calls herself Magpie, she was giving Lady Owl a heck of a time about it. And so I think, well, she stashed the letter with me so that Dame Magpie would not discover it or ask any more questions. That's your clue, though.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Triss, Tannen just died. He collapsed, poisoned, apparently. His mug of ale, falls down to the ground. And
so
what do you do?
If the way I imagine it, I think this trapdoor leading down to the basement is kind of behind the bar or behind the counter or at somewhere close there. So I think Triss for now will try to use his extremely big skills or grand skills of distraction to kind of shove the body back behind the counter so that nobody actually sees what happens, if this is possible.
You can have that for free, sure.
Okay. So he is shaken in a way, but because at least this is also a person that he trained brewery with. But for now, I think
at that moment, while after you stand up from having stashed the body, you see Lord Crow walking up to the bar, and he says, he's like, the innkeeper kept going on and on about a particular brew that he wanted my friend and I to try. And, I've decided to bring a couple of flagons back to the rooms. He says to the room. I mean, rooms, he corrects himself. Where's the sale?
Sure. Yes, this is our specialty brew, and
he promised me a rundown, a recitation of the various ingredients and how it was made.
Yes, he is busy making up basically opening up another casket for this large number of guests we have here. So I'm more than willing to help you, and I think what he was talking about was especially our brew that we added some lavender to its specialty. It's grown right here around the crossroads, and yes. Of course, apart from that, clear water from our spring that is close by, and it's excellent. You should definitely give it a try. And
so, in the off chance that the ale is poisoned, like, what is the what are you, is there anything you're going to do to ensure that he doesn't get a poisoned one? Or maybe it was just the particular mug that Tannen was drinking from. I think he probably will say, he'll probably add in, he says, well, to be perfectly frank, I asked for the mug of ale some time ago, and the man was supposed to bring it to us, but I'm here just trying to figure out where it's at.
Yes, I think Triss is going to pour like another cup of ale, and he's going to try to smell it with his excellent brewery skills to see whether or not this will poison the Crown Prince.
Make a hunt roll. Since you have brewing, make a hunt roll. See if you detect anything off from the beer.
Yes. That's a 6.
Nice. No. It's fine.
Okay. So yes.
Take your token.
Yes, this is the cup that you have been waiting for, and I'm sure it will not disappoint neither you nor your friend.
Splendid. Wonderful. Good. Fantastic. It's very nice to go out and try these provincial,
yes,
local specialties.
Say, you have been here for 2 days, and you have been on a hunt yesterday. Is that correct?
Earlier today.
Earlier today. Did you notice anything that was somehow the matter with Lord Carrion? And I'm gonna spend the token I just got to hopefully get a clue from him.
He says, well, if you're asking, did I see anything that might indicate why Lord Carrion was fated to end up splayed open like a piece of game in the bed of a rural inn? Well, the thing is, Lord Carrion had friends and enemies in equal measure. Everyone here relied on him to some degree because, let's just say that he is the man responsible for for the king's money. And, well, and he kind of like gets a little like, he kind of wonders if he should say anything else. He says, all right, so I know for a fact that the king is currently in very, very bad debt right now. Things are not good in the royal coffers. And I think things have taken a bit of a turn for the worse because, well, Lord Carrion had a number of letters from certain of the king's creditors, neighboring kingdoms and lords and things demanding payment. I think he probably came along here to ask Lord Holston for help of some sort. I don't know. But, you know, what do they say? Follow the money. That's usually the answer to these things.
Do you think he was already able to ask Lord Holston, or was there a time where he would have been able to ask him already for
I have to
support?
confess, I don't know. My companion and I, my fellow knight and I, we spent a lot of time out in the woods on the hunt, you know.
Yes. Well, I'm sure the ale will be to your liking. If you want any more, come back down. And if you want some more music or something of the sort, I think this will be a long night until everyone will go to sleep. Everyone is shaken by what has happened.
Indeed. Thank you. And he goes back to his room.
I think Triss will try to go to the brothel next. This
might be a
place where
good
he
time for you to meet up
feels,
with Nima too. I think Nima and you would probably be kind of meeting up at that point. We could just have that scene.
Yeah, I think I would. Nemo would like stick her head out of the breakfast nook and look for Triss and like motion him to come over.
Nima, what have you? Things are not good here. We have a lot of trouble on our hands.
That is very true. And Nima kind of motions over to the unconscious body on the floor.
Okay, is he?
No.
Does Triss motion over to the dead body on the other side of the bar?
Yes. So
just racking up.
Triss is like, that's good to hear. Keep him breathing.
It would appear that he was sent for Simone.
I'm afraid to. So we should go and warn her, I guess. But I have another sad. It's I don't even know how to describe it, but our friend the innkeeper collapsed just in front of me after drinking some ale.
Oh no!
I suspect it was poisoned.
Well, I can see if I can identify the poison.
Yes, maybe nobody else knows for now. I found it best to put his body behind the shelf, behind the counter. You should have a look, and I might try and go to find Simone. I know how uncomfortable you feel in that establishment that she runs, but this is more my kind of place.
Thank you for that. I will give Triss the letter that I found that identifies that this assassin was hired by someone with the Royal Treasury access.
Yeah, this is about as an official kill order as you can get, right? So,
where is our room on the
just
bottom floor or the top floor?
A little side note: you could kill Simone and collect the payment. It's 2 gold, not nothing.
That is. Note that down. Is our room in the new area or is it upstairs?
Your room is upstairs. Yeah, the one that you have. Yeah.
So before you go, Vanek, we have Triss, sorry. We have one thing we need to worry about, which is getting this body somewhere. That is not here splayed out on the floor, but we have
I will take care of this one. If you take care of Tenon.
I can do that.
So we'll leave you to do that for a moment. Let me pick up with Vanek. So Vanek, you just learned about Lady Owl's sort of love, puppy love, perhaps, for Lord Holston. So then what?
Well, it just gets more and more tangled. As I said, these nobles have very little to do. I'm going to take the note, and it's did Corinth say that this was where did he get this again?
Lady Owl gave it to him.
Lady Owl gave it to him.
Yeah, Lady Owl gave it to him, and he kind of explained it like, can you just hold this for me? It's not finished, is the thing. Is that, can you hold this for me? I think Dame Magpie was giving her a hard time, basically. And so to get Dame Magpie off her back, teasing her about this, essentially, she just pressed it into his hand, essentially, and then went off, presumably to go on the hunt earlier today. So
Understood. Okay. Why they would entrust that to Corinth, I don't know, but it might have been just
convenience. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they don't expect us to look at these things. So.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, I probably don't want to take this from him in case she comes back and he doesn't have it. That would be a big problem. So I'll say you should hold this just in case, because if she comes back for it and you don't have it, your head will roll.
He's like, oh, well, that Lady Owl, she seems nice enough. I don't think she'd be too worked up about it, to be honest.
We don't know what these nobles get worked up about, since one of them is dead.
It's like, fair enough.
But I may need to see it again, so take good care of it.
And he tucks it away.
All right. And I'm heading back to the inn, because I've just thought of something that I haven't had time to do and would really like to do, except not everybody's in the same place now. So I'm mumbling to myself as I wander through the front door. The main room is empty at this point, or?
No, Lady Shrike, Lord Gull,
they're all here still.
Dame Magpie, and Lady Owl are all there. Basically, only the two knights are not there.
Right. Okay. I will look around, and I don't see my companions. I say, pardon, my lords and ladies, and I will try and sidle my way into the main body of the inn so that I can find my companions if they are there. And as I'm going, I will take a look and see how many of these people are wearing gloves.
Very good. Take a hunt roll for now.
Okay. There's a 6. Woot.
Nice. All the women are wearing gloves. So basically Lady Owl, Dame Magpie, and Lady Shrike all have gloves of some sort on. And while you're poking around, while you're just keeping an eye open, you will notice something else. I need to keep better track of my clues. While you're looking around, casing the place, keeping an eye on the guests, kind of seeing what they're you know, what they're doing, looking for gloves, especially. I assume you're sort of thinking about that severed finger.
I am definitely thinking about that severed finger.
Indeed. You will notice something, let's just say odd. Something you don't remember seeing in the inn before. On the mantle above the fireplace, there is a small jade statue. A small jade statue of some sort of like multi-armed god. That is definitely not something that was there before. It's not been part of the decor. It's a clue of something, perhaps, but it is a clue.
Okay.
Or it's a clue for our purposes, but it's unclear maybe what it means at this point. Meanwhile, Vanek or Triss and Nina can catch up with you after they're done stashing bodies in the basement, or where'd you put these bodies?
I think getting 10 into the basement is probably easier. I don't know what Triss is going to do about the assassin's body.
Think the assassin is not dead, is he? No.
No, he's just knocked out.
No, he's unconscious. So we should also tie him up.
I think we're gonna tie him up in the hay at the stable.
Okay.
I think that's basically, there must be some sort of back entrance to the stable where we keep the hay or so, and I think he's just gonna tie him up and stash him, because as we know, Triss does actually have some rope, so the rope is probably stashed somewhere there as well. There's some rope, so
yeah. So securing him is fine. What do you do with Tannen's body again?
He was stashed kind of behind the bar, correct? Is that whatever?
But you're just leaving him there, not anywhere less conspicuous, or?
Well, what I was thinking, if he's behind the bar, I could probably like open up the hatch to the basement,
slide him in, yeah,
and slide him in while I want to investigate the body, so I think like I'll make it look like I'm going down to get more ale or wine.
Yeah. Take a hunt roll on the body for sure. Yeah, you can use surgery since you have that's connected to bodies enough, I think, to justify 2 dice.
All right. I'm very uncomfortable by the number of 6s we're getting, because it's going to be when we need them that they're not going to be there. But that's another 6.
Take your token. You'll notice after a quick examination that Tannen has a symbol marked on the back of his neck, covered by his collar, but marked on the back of his neck in what appears to be blood, which it is blood, you'll know well enough. And the symbol is like, it looks vaguely like a 6-pointed or 6-spoked wheel or star or something like that on the back of his neck. Very unusual.
And like, does it look like, is it like a tattoo that they use blood to make, so it's permanent, or it's there?
No, it's not permanent. Yeah.
Okay. So someone most likely put it on him relatively recently or he put it on himself.
Yeah, exactly. So do you all want to meet back up now at this point? You have a good number of clues at this point. You've got what, 12?
10, 11, maybe
12, yeah.
12, no, I guess no. Yeah, I mean, yes, I possibly. I think Triss was just about to go to the brothel, but I don't know if we
can have that scene. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just you?
I think that was the point. Yeah, I think because Nima was going to investigate
Right. Okay.
Tenon.
So you'll go to the brothel, and it's usually just Simone and whoever she has who's kind of like working there for a time. Right now, it's just her, and it's just her home, and and she kind of meets you, and she's a beautiful woman, a faded beauty, but beautiful, and she kind of says, "What a night we've had, huh?"
That's right, my dear. How have you been? I brought you something from our travels, and Tris will take out like a small silver necklace.
She's like, "I love gifts," and she says, well, "Wonderful, thank you."
I think it might be that Tris actually kind of had a thing with Simone over the last 2 years.
Sure, yeah.
So he says, well, I haven't been around for many months, but you've always been able to take care of yourself alone, of course. How has it been? How has your business picked up? How has the inn been? I have only been back for a few hours.
Well, I mean, business is fairly slow. We don't get too many people in, to be honest. I mean, people pass through, but I'm doing okay. I mean, clientele's fallen off, but that's fine by me. I'm enjoying my time alone out here in the middle of nowhere.
Have there been any, I mean, before this hunting party, have there been any visitors from the court staying in the last couple of months? Have you had any interactions?
And here she gets a little like kind of like she doesn't want to say anything.
Look, dear, I know all of this is a terrible thing that happened today, but I'm afraid you might be in danger. You've told me that, or you've actually not told me much about your past, which was always kind of suspicious, but
she says, "Tris, listen to me. I know most of those people staying at the inn. I know them because I used to also be at court.
Well,
none of them acknowledge me, of course, but we clearly recognize each other."
Well, you've always been a bit too perfect for our little crossroads, my dear. But I didn't know that you were actually of noble origins.
Well,
it's not a surprise. You know how to move and how to present yourself, of course. I've noticed.
Yes, I do. Well, the thing is, in my life, I've had to wear a lot of disguises. I frequently have to change things. And this is where I am now. And it's probably best if I don't talk anymore about my time at court. It's a time that I choose not to think on much.
I've talked to, well, you know better than I, then of course, the king's son. And he mentioned there is financial trouble at the court. And also, Nima found this, and I'm gonna show her the letter.
She says, "Ah, how interesting. How interesting, how interesting." And she's sort of like, this is the request. This is like the wanted, the contract for her to be killed, right?
Yes, yes.
She says, she just crumples it. And she kind of throws it down and she says, "The young prince is here, isn't he? I thought I recognized him. Masquerading as a knight. Ah, how interesting, how interesting."
Well, let's have a drink, shall we, and hope for better times, and hope that these courtly people will be gone soon. What do you think? And you can tell me a bit more about what you think happened here tonight, if you have any more things to tell us about these fine or not so fine people that have come to our place.
Yes, I'll go fetch us something now. And she gets up and she goes to the back of her home where she's presumably getting something for you all to drink, or for you both to drink. And you hear like a crash in the back. And you hear her mutter, "Damn it, Mildred."
I think I'm gonna run to the back room.
She says, "Oh, sorry, I have these boxes stacked up a little precariously and I knock them over. It's so much easier when you have help to help you with these things, you know. I haven't had to live on my own like this for a very, very long time. I'm doing my best."
I can imagine. Well, can I see anything suspicious around here in the back room?
We'll come back to this. Vatican Dima, where do we find you?
Well, I'd be in the main part of the inn if Nima isn't done taking care of Tannen. I will give her a hand.
Sounds like that's all sorted. So,
but
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to be mulling over that small jade statue. I've never seen that before, and it's sort of worming its way into my brain. I'm trying to figure out what that god is or where I would have seen anything like that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's something I would just spend a hunt token on. I mean, not a hunt token,
yeah, you could do a hunt roll if you want, and if you let me look at your skills. You have appraisal and history. History might do. Yeah.
It's just if I make a hunt roll, I'm at risk of losing all my tokens. Whereas if I just spend the token, that seems like the smarter route right now. So I'm just going to spend the token to do that.
I mean, you may not learn anything about the statue, but you can spend it and get a clue.
What you're saying.
So
okay, yeah. If it's not, and that's sort of meta. That's sort of meta at this point. If that's not, if a clue is not the outcome, then the hunt token is probably inappropriate, and I should just roll for it. I think.
Yeah. I don't think a clue is like going to come out of this statue.
Okay. So
I'm happy to tell you more about it, but it's not a clue.
All right. Well, there we go. Hunt 2 for history.
Yep.
3 and 3. Bad news all around.
Bad news all around. You recognize this as a very, very tiny miniature depiction of a frankly foul statue that was in the shrine down in the basement when you cleared the place out.
That's not right. We're supposed
And
to
in
have closed.
fact, you feel a little pinprick beneath your thumb as you're examining the thing, and your blood is being drawn into the little jade figurine. So the jade figurine is now streaked with the red of your blood.
Oh, I'm not happy about this at all.
What do you do?
I'm going to take the statue away from the mantle. It's just a small statue anyway. So I'll remove it off from the mantle. I assume no one pays much mind to me when I do that.
No.
And I'm going to mutter a little prayer to one of the more, let's say, reliable gods that I trust in. And see if I can find some putty or something to cover up whatever it was that scratched me, because I don't think it was by accident. I think that's what it was here for.
Yeah, you can close up your wound, no problem. It's just a very tiny little prick, but like the blood was drawn out quite rapidly, like by the little figurine.
All right.
But just putting the figurine down stops it. So.
And I will take the covered up statue back to Nima to show her what I found. I think that's probably the best first route.
Pick up from there.
Yeah. Nima.
Yes.
I found this on the fireplace. I didn't know whether you or Triss had set it out there, but I think it was from the basement. And I don't know why you would have put something so, well, I couldn't imagine that you would have chosen to put something potentially distasteful out there. But
It certainly was not me. I look at the statue. Does it look at all familiar to me?
I say, be careful. It's quite sharp in parts and drew blood, actually.
The statue, you will also recognize it as similar to a statue that was removed from the basement when it was a shrine. So.
On that note, as I was examining Canon, I found something possibly similarly disturbing. And I'm going to try to like just draw out the symbol that I saw on the back of his neck.
The little figurine has 6 arms and the symbol has 6 spokes.
Well, that is bad. I don't know if your knowledge of history or anything can identify this symbol, but this symbol is drawn in blood on the back of Tannen's neck.
I certainly hope that whatever nasty business was happening at Lady Holston's estate before has not somehow followed us or been carried forward by some other agency. It would be, was hoping that our friend who I released would have taken care of that for us, but doesn't seem to. I don't know.
I'm hoping. The finger that we found.
Indeed.
When we found it, did it look like it was like in there after the fact, or like he had eaten it?
I'll tell you that it was placed there. That you wouldn't be able to figure that out. Yeah.
Well,
Back at Triss. Triss, do a hunt roll as you look around the sort of it's a mess back there. It's a kitchen theoretically, but you don't see any kind of like food preparation stuff or food for that matter in the back. Just lots of like old boxes and crates and things. It's like storage.
Second, yes. Well, a 2.
A 2. At a certain point, you hear the creak of the door to this room being closed. And it's just you and Simone in the back. And she says, you know, after I was so unceremoniously ejected from my own ancestral home, I returned to court like this, and I set about avenging. I set about taking back some of what was mine. And now I've been here for the last year, considering how to take back the rest. And I want you to help me, Triss.
All the way to the crown?
For now, I just want to get Holston Hall back. We can worry about greater aspirations after that.
From the usurper?
Yes.
Well, I think Triss looks at her and kind of considers, well, we did already cause a change in who runs Holston Hall once. So I don't see why we might not do it again.
Indeed. How about you and your companions devise a theory that will lay the blame for Lord Carrion's death at Lord Holston's feet?
It sounds certainly like a good start to what you are trying to accomplish. And if you will have me join you at the hall, I might be willing to do what I can to convince my companions of this.
Very well. I would like to hear more about what the three of you come up with.
We'll drink on it, and I'll get back to the inn and find the others. And I raise my glass to her.
You can meet up with the others.
Yes. Yeah, I think Triss will go back to meet the others at the common room.
Let's take our last break. Take 5, come back and figure out if and how you're going to make an accusation here and how that's going to go. So I think out of character, you all need to decide if you are going to try to pin this on Lord Holston, in which case the die roll is just, does the court accept this, and how much blowback does the inn take, which is represented by your personal ruin scores. Or if you want to devise a theory that is like the truth, or yeah, in which case it's the same outcome, but just in terms of like, you know, whether they accept it or not, but you know, is the actual killer. So
Yeah,
I think you all need to decide as a group how you want to approach this.
well, the first question is, do we think we know who the real killer is? And I think at this point, we all have a pretty good idea. It's just that none of the clues really indicate that to any degree of certainty.
Well, so here's how this works. You have all these clues. You can use any that like you wish in your theory, and you can add whatever context would make the clue fit your theory. So for example, you could say that, you know, you notice that Dame Magpie, one of the fingers in her glove was like limp because it didn't have a finger in it, right? So maybe it came from her. Or that you know, you smelled like, or you saw like a smudge of soot on another character, or you smelled like gunpowder for the firecracker on another character, or something like that, right? You can like make little connections as you theorize, right? We assume these are things that your characters became aware of as they were investigating, right? But really, you have a lot of like very disparate clues. You may not be able to use them all. You get credit for them if you also can like explain them away as well.
Right.
But yeah.
So, yeah, the other concern that I have, in addition to the disparate nature of the clues, is that we don't have enough information on some of the suspects, and we don't necessarily need to. They could just be, you know, there's nothing to know about them, so we don't know anything about them. But Lord Gull and Lady Shrike have one entry that's sort of really, really mild, and I have like some mild theories regarding their involvement or non-involvement, but
now's the time to speak. So what do you all think?
Well, I've been babbling for a bit, so I'll let somebody else pipe up for now.
Well, I mean, I guess the first question is, do we, like Jason said, do we want to try to frame Lord Holston?
Yeah, I think maybe just to clear this, I think Tris somehow will try this, and I think for me the question is just very quickly to see, do the two of you feel that Vanek and Nima would kind of be, would Tris be able to convince them somehow of this, and or rather not, which is also fine with me.
I mean, it may come down to would you say that Lady Holston's involved, because they just discovered all this evidence of the blood god again, right?
Yes.
Which would
I mean,
affect
I think
things.
I think actually Tris would basically try to make the argument that that Lord Holston, of course, you know, because of his mother and so on, they are back at it again at Holston Hall, back at, you know, there has probably some remnant relic or something back at the hall, and it has taken over Lord Holston, and he's back at it.
Oh, and that would confirm, because Vanek and Nima have just discovered like evidence of the blood god at the inn.
Yes. So I think that's the story that Tris would tell you, that basically he thinks that the whole thing is that basically Lord Holston has secretly been taken over by the blood god, and we have to, and he's most probably responsible for it, and we have to, we put a stop to it once, and we will have to do so again.
Okay. So basically, you're not spilling anything about Lady Holstein at all. Okay.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
I'm mentioning Lady Holston, but it lines up with like Because didn't one of the characters tell you that like they're hunting people or something at
Yeah, they made
the
a
hall?
they made a sidewise comment about that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they've also
and, like,
discovered this blood god evidence. Like it all lines up, right?
The grisly nature of the murder too. Like it's not just that someone was out to get Lord Carrion. Like it looked ritualistic enough that like all of that stuff lining up. I think Nemo would probably.
I think I would buy it. Like if he came to me with that story, I'd be like, "Oh my god, you're right." Like, you know,
particularly like if this was an hour ago. Maybe not as much, but with the evidence we just found of the blood god.
The evidence started to really fall into. You're. I would imagine your thinking would be skewed at this point. Yeah.
So basically, as you know, in the fiction, Triss is definitely lying to the two of you. But as players, if you're okay with this going on London, I think we could start to make a theory about that, kind of how all of this indicates that Lord Holston has restarted this kind of blood god.
I like the idea of an alternate theory too. Like if you,
for sure.
Like you have this sort of fake theory, but then you have the alternate theory, and you just see like maybe which one has valence or whatever. But what's your thinking, Rowan?
So we still don't know. There's very many, like you said, there are very many things we don't know, like whose severed finger it is and things like that.
But you're allowed to fill that detail in.
Yeah, we will know in a moment.
Okay. So, I don't have a problem. I think Triss is an evil bastard, but you know, I don't have a problem with it. We'll see how it goes. I have no problem building the story out that way.
Okay, then why don't we start there then? So you have to build a theory that blames it on Lord Holston. And to get the maximum number of dice, you have to explain away inconvenient clues. So
let's see. What about the finger then? So the finger in the body, probably. So my thing is it's actually probably was Tannen's finger that he basically, as part of this murder ritual, he cut it off himself, and he fed it to, or he basically put, after he killed him.
Oh, you think Tannen's involved?
Yes, because of I think Tannen is involved because of the symbol, right? Basically, he was I think actually that he might have been the murder weapon, and then he was killed by another conspirator so that he could not speak.
So let's start marking clues. I think the small jade statue, with the theory you're going with, the small jade statue is totally explained. I mean, obviously, the blood god has some influence again on the situation. The statue is just evidence of that.
And if
I think it's kind of like a surveillance camera, you know.
And if what you're trying to say is that Tannen did the killing, but under coercion, then the symbol on the back of his neck is
like a mind control thing or something.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got 2 clues accounted for.
I think 2 we could say, if the theory you're going for is that Lord Holston essentially possessed in some way Tannen to perform this and then had someone kill him, then Lady Owl's love letter to Lord Holston could be connected to that, and that maybe Lady Owl was the one who poisoned Tannen.
Yes.
Would you like to add some context and say that, like, you read between the lines in the letter and it becomes obvious that Lady Owl is like sending a coded message to Lord Holston or something? Like that she plans on doing this, right?
That's why it's taking her so long to write the letter, is because she needs to enter in the code. But it's really like, because she's in love with him, she's willing to kill for him, and like she just puts some poison.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm into that a lot as a theory.
I mean, just to make sure, because now we're actually making this theory, right? So, but the point was, of course, that this is all actually just something that Triss wants everyone to buy, right? So in the end, yeah, we're still, but it all fits together. So the finger, I would say, is then also. So I think actually, I mean, this might then be, Triss might go as far as cutting off one of Tennant's fingers.
Just to like prove the theory.
Yes. And say like that basically he fed one of his fingers as kind of a ritual sacrifice.
I think it would be comically hilarious if like the fingers are like really different looking. Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I think that's the finger.
So we're saying that like, oh, like that was Tannen's finger. It was like a weird ritual thing. Okay, I'm into that. Okay, so we have kind of 4 clues going at this point. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say if you're going so far as to like really frame Tannen, you could also put like some soot on his like, if not on his hand, like on his like shirt sleeves.
From like tending the fire or something.
Yeah,
right?
so we connect it to the sooty handprint on the door frame.
That accounts for the handprint because he would be changing the fires and stuff. You'd be like, changing the logs on the fire and stuff like that, right? So, okay, that's good. 5 clues sorted.
I think probably because
let me check in with Merwin. Merwin, do you have any thoughts right now?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
No, I'm just watching us. I'm just watching us dig our collective moral hole here.
I think actually what would be fun if we do it like this, that we might actually try to because all the things connected to the Crown Prince and so on, we might actually try to make like a parallel thing that just explains this away without this having anything to do with the thing, right? So basically we have this whole separate story of the Crown Prince, something with the dog, and then they have this money trouble and so on, and it has nothing at all to do with the rest, but
it's probably got a lot to do with the real story of what happened.
Exactly, right.
But it doesn't fit your theory, so okay, well, so then what is this like parallel structure that you use to explain away all the stuff with the Crown Prince? And
so I would just start with something, and then the two of you can maybe try to go with this. I think the argument between Shrike and Gull was about one of them telling the other off for playing this firecracker joke on the 2 knights.
So this is like a hazing thing from Lord Gull or something. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think, Mervyn?
Sorry, I was distracted. What was the statement?
Yeah. I was just saying that. So basically, I think I would connect this argument between Lady Shrike and Lord Gull. So maybe Lord Gull. I mean, he's a Navy. He was in the Navy, so he might be familiar with this kind of, hazing kind of rituals, or kind of, and he was basically putting the firecracker under the saddle of Sir Eagle, and I think Lady Shrike told him off, like, that this is not funny. It could lead to the Crown Prince or the Crown Prince's companion being hurt, and that would definitely anger the Crown Prince.
Yeah, I think that's viable.
So that would explain.
Even if it wasn't true, they would admit it, right? That's the idea. Even if it wasn't true, they'd say yes. It was just supposed to be a prank, but we.
Yeah, it's an easy out for them.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
as opposed to the real story, which I think is, do you want to join up? And Gull says absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell you what I think was really happening. I think there was a lot of there's a big debt scheme going on of some sort. I think it probably involves Lord Gull and Lady Shrike and the 2 knights, and probably I don't know. I have a feeling that there is some sort of attempt at so one thing that you could have learned if you had approached it that way is that Dame Magpie keeps the crown afloat with her money. And so I think that like probably there was maybe a whole debt thing kind of going on. But if you're giving Lady Shrike and Lord Gull the easy out of this was just a joke, like Merwin said, it satisfies the theory, right? Because they get to be like, oh yeah, it was just a joke, you know.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to kill anybody, right?
And I mean, the thing is, I think the Crown Prince really, because the only way that he can keep his style of spending money and living in this kind of wasteful way going is he has to basically become the king himself.
Mhm.
So this is also why he is the one who is basically minting these coins that make a mockery of the king, because it's all part of his kind of trying to, you know, basically anger the king and kind of get him, undermine him.
That's right. Sir Crow did give the coin to you, so
Yeah. So I think he is actually trying to, I think maybe make the court believe that the king is not, like, if he gets angered by these sorts of little jokes, and if he cannot even, you know, prevent people from kind of mocking him in this way, he's definitely lost his hold on the power, and he should be removed.
Yeah. Going back to like this whole explaining away things structure. I mean, the firecracker makes a lot of sense. The argument, I think Lady Shrike and Lord Gull would fess up to that if you were giving them this out. So that makes sense. The coin is interesting, but I don't know like how you could get the coin into the I'm not
into
sure
that story as well. Yeah.
How do you like wrap that up into the story, I guess?
I feel like a lot of the debt stuff kind of just becomes difficult.
It becomes really hard. Yeah. Like it was pretty easy to do the Shrike and Gull thing and the firecracker thing because it's not specifically about the debt, you know.
I think the connecting point is the dog. We need to, I don't know, Mervin, whether you have any ideas of what actually happened with the dog.
Yeah, so my text explains away most of the debt stuff as being completely unrelated. So if we can actually use all the debt stuff with this one, because if we're blaming everything on Holston and Holston doesn't want to get caught, his job is going to be able to place the blame on someone who is a better suspect. And so if we point out that, yes, of course, we've heard rumors that Sir Crow and Sir Eagle are free with the king's money, then whoever, if Holston is sponsoring the activity of the Blood God again, and Sir Crow was at his estate, it would have been no trouble for him to have marked Sir Crow in some way as to make the dog antagonistic toward him.
The dog is responding to the dark magic, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's put that down.
And so we can use both the fact that both our knowledge of their spending habits.
I think actually because we still don't know why actually Lord Carrion was the one that was killed, and I think the reason is
that is a big question. Why did they target Lord Carrion?
And I think the reason is because these letters, I mean, we know that Carrion was holding these letters from the debtors, the creditors' letters, but this is just something that I think Dame Magpie told Triss, I think. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah,
but
Dame Magpie just told you that, yeah.
So I think these letters are actually vanished because they are basically worth that money. So this is actually Lord Holston needs that money for the blood
Leverage.
gods. For leverage, or he definitely, because these letters are like, they are actually worth the money.
They're like bearer notes, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what he was after. Because he needs that money somehow to finance this blood god.
So basically, he was killed because he wanted those letters, essentially, right? He wanted to be able to hold the king's debt, basically.
Yes.
Right? That's interesting.
So the only clue that I see that we can't use is the note from the traveler's body. If we involve Simone in any way, we're boned.
Yeah, I think that's the one that you can't. I think that's the one you can't do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm still not like convinced of the coin or the fact that Sir Crow and Sir Eagle are profligate spenders. Like,
yeah,
we have to use the fact that they're profligate spenders to establish the pattern of behavior that leaves him vulnerable to being blamed.
Leads who?
That leads the crown prince to be blamed, because otherwise Holston has no motivation to blame the prince in particular.
Oh, got it. So he's trying to frame in your theory, he's trying to frame the prince, right?
Correct.
Got it. Okay, that's perfect. Love that.
Yeah.
That explains the profligate spending. What about the coin?
The coin I don't have much for.
You might just be stuck on the coin. It may not even matter in terms of the numbers. How many are highlighted?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, you don't even need it. So
okay, yeah.
So let's review. The severed finger is according to your theory, that your fake theory, the severed finger is evidence of the ritual nature of what happened to Lord Carrion, right? To indicate that Lord Holston is back with the blood god, right? Okay, good. The city handprint, we're saying that Tannen was being controlled by Lord Holston, and obviously the city handprint came from Tannen because he would have been changing the fire and stuff. The stray dog hates Sir Crow because Sir Crow was tainted by the dark magic of Lord Holston, and the dog picked up on this, right? You can even go so far as to maybe say that, like, you found some Sir Crow's possessions that are marked with that blood mark, right? Or something like that. Love all that. The argument between Shrike and Gull and the firecracker under the saddle, in your theory, is because Shrike did not like the joke that Gull was playing on the prince. Great. Being profligate spenders explains how Lord Holston was going to frame the prince and probably Sir Eagle, honestly, for what happened. The love letter is code from Lady Owl that she's done the deed, or she's going to do the deed to kill Tannen. The king is in significant debt, and this is the main thing Lord Holston wanted, was he wants to hold the debt, and so that's a big thing, which is mainly why Lord Carrion was killed, because he probably wouldn't give it up, according to your theory. And of course, the statue and the symbol are evidence of Lord Holston being back in with the blood god. I love it. I feel like Lord Holston is getting a real raw deal here, because we don't know if none of this is probably true.
But no, I don't believe a word of it.
100% certain. Blaine is 100% certain that this is all fake.
Oh yeah,
we're all going to be eaten by the blood god, and it's all just.
I feel like Dame Magpie and Lady Shrike and Lord, they're all getting away with something right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the only person I feel like is actually going to be thrown to the wolves for real is Lady Owl.
Lady Owl. I know, and her letter might be a genuine love letter. You're all just making stuff up about the code or whatever.
And I feel like multiple people also said that she's actually a very nice person.
Right? Yeah, she's
and
nice.
and she's
And
literally
poor Tannen, of course, but he's dead. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
and
yeah.
she is the only one here right now. She is the only one here that we are blaming for anyone's death.
Yeah.
So this is this is
it's hard.
If she gets through this in the future, you may have a very, very inconvenient enemy on your hands, right? So because Lady Owl's definitely getting effed over the most of everybody here, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, even Lord Holston will probably, I mean, he may not be able to wriggle out of this, but he'll probably like, you know, he probably at least has the money to like try to, you know, like
At the very least, he can escape
to weather the storm or escape, right? Exactly. Yeah. So who knows how that's going to shake out. In any case, you're up to 5 light dice. You can add as many dark dice as you wish. We're going to roll them all, and we're looking for the 2 highest. And if it's 10, 11, or 12, you're correct. 10 or 11 is correct, but there's a problem. 12 is, or not correct, but it works. And then 12 is it works free and clear.
So and one more question about the ruin and the dark dice. So how does that work exactly? Does it does it go up?
If you
for
every
does it always go up, and then
for every dark die that matches, you all take that amount of ruin. So if you put like 3 dark dice, at most you can all gain 3 ruin, right?
Having gone along with this crazy theory, I would like to request that we spend no more than 2 dark dice, or add no more than 2 dark dice.
I mean, you can cap it to where none of you like are destroyed, like, you know, reputationally. But it's just that you got to like figure out a way to get your ruin back down before the next incursion.
Yeah.
So
I'm at 3 ruin, so I would like to cap it at 2.
Sure.
So that Nima isn't just destroyed by this.
Yeah.
Particularly if we're rolling 5 light dice, the chances of our dark dice matching our light dice are pretty high.
Yeah. So and I mean, even though this framing Lady Owl in this way might destroy Nima morally, she should not be destroyed mechanically.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
I would like to play Nima again and see how she comes back from this.
Indeed. Yeah, I think you're all going to have a lot to answer for at the end of this. Getting in both Lady Holston feels like a horrible idea.
Well, the new Lord Holston definitely won't.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so whoever's going to do the roll, it's going to be risk 5-2 is how we'll do it on the die roller.
Oh my
This is
God.
100% Triss.
Yep.
Go for it,
Okay.
Triss. This is you.
What is it again?
You'll just type in risk 5-2.
Risk 5-2. Okay. All right, let's go.
10.
10.
It is a success. Your ruin each goes up by 2 because there are 2 3s and there are 2 3s in the pile of light dice. So all your ruins going up by 2. This works, but the fact that it's a 10 means that it's messy as hell. Like there's a lot of complication. It's very, very messy, and I think the way this is messy is we're not gonna have to deal with it right now because depending on how it was going to go, depending on what your theory was and who you accused, it could have been that person like tried to fight you or escape or whatever. But since you're basically accusing Lord Holston, and he can't react immediately, I think the way this is going to be a mess is essentially.
Sorry, could we do, because I like you're saying, I think no, I was just wondering because of course that would have been this kind of moment where we tell our theory would of course have been a thing where Triss would have tried to use the hospitality ritual before.
Oh.
So that
I like that
moment,
as the fiction.
Yeah, exactly. But then after everybody goes out from this, then kind of all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think what's going to happen. Is it works, right? You tell this story to everybody there. You get a lot of like enthusiastic nods from Lady Shrike, Lord Gull, and Dame Magpie, because I think they were responsible. And so they're going along with this. This is the story they're going to tell the king. This is how the treasurer got killed. The king believes it. Lord Holston protests vociferously, so much so that Lord Holston basically like uses his money to raise a small force to protect himself from the king's forces. And so now the Sunset Crossroad Inn sits in the middle of this like conflict zone between the king and Lord Holston. And so that's where we're at as far as like this goes.
Great.
Right. And that will conclude things for now. I'll give you all a chance to do Hearthfire next time we meet to get your ruin and stuff down.
So
but
a couple of us still have leftover hunt tokens.
You can spend those to just take gold right now if you want. So
All right.
just add this gold, and we'll do whenever we reconvene this series, we'll do Hearthfire right at the beginning. So
probably some valuables that have been left in the rooms.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
when all the
Yeah.
courtly people just stormed out
Indeed.
of there.
Or it could or we could translate it as like, before they raid Holston Hall, you quarter some of the king's men or something, right? Or so you earn some money that way. Who knows? But in any case, all the wrong people are delighted about this outcome.
I think part of the messiness might also be because like half of the people actually, basically got on the side of Lady Owl, and the others, were like basically accusing her, and it kind of caused a rift between that group as well.
Oh yeah,
and
of course. Yeah. But what I think is so interesting is you all have kind of like also, you've earned the favor of certain of these nobles, right? You've definitely earned the ire of some of these nobles. And I think that's very interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't think we made. I think it's safe to say that the only person that we made happy was Simone / Lady Holston. That's
yes.
I think that is the only person we made happy, because even if we diverted blame from the crown prince, everybody knows he's now misusing the king's funds. So
yeah,
no matter
one
what, he's not happy.
Yeah. It's all like, it's very ugly. The whole situation is very, very ugly.
Although if the current Lord Holston is also recruiting an army to stand up against the king, then Lady Holston's not even really happy because she's not getting Holston Hall back.
That's true too. Holston Hall might get torched. It might get like set ablaze for all we know. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. So what I want to do is I want to pick up this. I want to pick this story up in May. So Fridays in May. If you all want to join me in May, we'll talk about that and reconvene. We'll go back to doing an incursion, but I'll try to weave in some of this drama as we go. So, but yeah, let's do stars and wishes. Stars are things you enjoyed about the session and the whole series, and wishes are things that we hope to see for next time. Whoever wants to go first, go for it.
I'm wishing for Triss to get spitted over a fire pit soon.
Triss has set himself up big time. My wish. We're all going for wishes. I want to see the moment, however it comes out, where Triss kind of admits to deceiving the two of you. I think that's going to be great, right? I think that'd be really fun.
I now, based on where we left Holston Hall last session, and what we know now, I really want to see what has become of Sarku.
Yes, because it seemed so. Lady Holston obviously survived the fight, right? Sarku's a big open question. What happened to Sarku? I don't know. So yeah, why wasn't Lady Holston able to return? That's a great question, right? If she won the fight, why didn't she just go back to Holston Hall, right? Yeah, or why didn't she just stay there? Yeah, big open questions.
Yeah, I think before that moment, I think Triss is going to hoping that he will be able to get enough funds through this new alliance, so that, for example, Nima can pay her father's debt. So she might be a little more understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, so your motives are all pure. I get it now. No,
yeah, who knows? So go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, huge star for Adrian and Triss on the just twisting the hell out of this plot, because the whole idea of a mystery is to uncover the mystery, not corrupt the findings. Really, really.
Yeah,
well
you've
very well
you
done.
definitely found the perfect thread to start pulling to get us on board.
Yeah, I think. Please go ahead, Jason.
I was gonna say stars for. I really liked how just the mystery all played out. Like, even if we didn't like end up like properly solving it, I think there was a lot of, I enjoy a sort of mystery investigation type session, and the mechanics still work to sort of like create this false narrative, right? Which I thought was pretty great. So that was enjoyable for me.
I mean, I think this is basically also a big star for everyone in kind of working with this. Also, I think some of the scenes with the dog, I think that was fun, and creating all of this. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I mean, it's so obvious in a certain sense to, in this kind of mystery scenario, to embed people that have a certain reason why they would put forth a particular theory, right? But even that I had not yet seen in this kind of lifted from Brindlewood Bay kind of thing. But I'm not. But even more interesting, I think, was, of course, to put it to kind of offer that to the players. For the players to have an interest suddenly, or one of the players at least to have an interest in coming up with a kind of fake theory and this adds so many layers. So I'm very interested in, I mean, if this probably was not the first time that you did that, I guess, Jason.
Well, I mean, I've run lots of Brindlewood Bay, which is where this mystery system like was kind of cribbed from. It doesn't work as well as it does in Brindlewood Bay, because Brindlewood Bay was written for that purpose. And this is just kind of, like sort of jerry rigged together. But like, but the way I've had it happen in Brindlewood Bay is they solve the mystery like normal, but for whatever reason, they don't want to tell the truth, because like either there's a complication with the suspect or something, like they don't want it to come out. And so what they do is they solve it, and then they just don't tell the police. Like, they just like don't tell anyone, or they enact their own justice that doesn't involve getting the cops involved.
I think what's so interesting here is, of course, and that's kind of why I think this was so great, because it kind of made a trophy in a certain sense, is that, of course, in a very different setting, as probably most Brindlewood Bay games are, there's not really place for evil mavens, right? I mean, like, it just doesn't really fit the scenario, right? But here, of course, especially because Trophy has also this player, I mean, and that's why I leaned into it, because Trophy, especially Dark, of course, but also maybe Gold in a sense, I'm not sure, has this player against player part, and of course also this idea of evil, of characters kind of following their own motives. And I think that was very interesting, because in that sense it fits so well. That's to put it, not just have, because I think that also of course works if you have alternative people that want to push their own theory about what happened, right. Like not non-player characters or non-player figures, but to put it on one of the players, to say like, what about you try to come up or to push this kind of fake
Mhm.
theory for some evil motivation. And I think it kind of fits very well into the trophy atmosphere.
What I wanted to do, if you had if you all had not agreed to go along with Triss's plan, I was going to just ask for two competing theories and two competing rationalizations for who did it, and then roll dice to see who, which story was the one that took, but I agree, it definitely makes it more of a trophy version of this murder mystery thing, right? So I think it's kind of fun. Star for I I don't know, I just liked everyone's kind of I like that everyone kind of split up. I like that everyone kind of did their own thing on the investigation. I like that we got to see I felt like we really got to see different aspects of the characters, which was really fun. And we've seen these characters now in basically 3 different contexts, right? Essentially 3 different adventures, even though this one was a follow-up to the last one, but it's still kind of a separate thing. And I'm just really I'm enjoying watching the characters grow. I'm enjoying watching them become get their nuances and different facets of their character out there and develop. We're reaching that point in a campaign where I start to really care about the characters. In the beginning, I it's not that I don't care about them, but it's just that we're in the beginning, especially, you're kind of trying to figure them out. And at a certain point, you hit this oh, I really care about these characters now. I want these characters I want to see what happens to them, And I feel like we've really started to hit that stride with these characters. So I'm just really happy about that.
For me too, I think this is because you get a feeling for the character, not just well, they know how to use a sword or whatever, or of course we know Nima is kind of knows about healing or whatever, but that's kind of why I mean, for me, the moment where I felt this worked, or where I suddenly had this idea of how Nima would react, was when I thought yeah, of course she wouldn't really want to go to the brothel, and and this comes in a way out of kind of getting a feeling for the character beyond just a kind of abstract entity. I think that was so for me, that was where I felt yeah, now I so the way that you play Nima over the last couple of sessions for me kind of got, so that's definitely a star for me as well, so that you've made Nima real enough for me so that I could, I think that's probably what
Oh, thank
Chris was
you.
gonna say.
I love that moment so much, when it was not even I was kind of thinking I would have to go to the brothel because that's where the clues were leading, but would be uncomfortable. And that moment where Trish is I know you don't want to go there. I absolutely love that moment.
Well, then of course it wasn't even really a brothel, right? In my imagination, Lady Holston's eating people, right? There's no business is slow because it's not really a brothel. But yeah. Any other stars and wishes before we go?
Just another mechanical short one. I think it's also very interesting to see how the hunt roll and hunt roll tokens interact with the clue system.
Oh yeah, I'm not in love with it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I've tried it 2 different ways now. The first time I did one of these little mystery things as a sort of reward session for another group, because it's just a fun little one-off thing to do. And in that one I did 1 die per clue, and that was way too much. they had too many dice at the end. So then I did 2 dice per clue. That was better. But another thing I don't love about it, the way I have this so far, is that the clues come too fast. In Brindlewood Bay, the clues don't get doled out this quickly, and so I don't know. I don't quite have it. I don't quite have the balance right yet on how to mesh these 2 together. And I think it's because the hunt roll gets fired off so often. In Brindlewood Bay, the information move, which is the move that gives you clues, doesn't get rolled nearly as much as the hunt roll does. And so there's a bit of an imbalance there.
Yeah,
and it's compounded by the fact that I let you spend a token to also get a clue, right? So it's just too much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, overall, I do like how the 2 systems kind of interact.
Yeah.
It might be like maybe you don't get clues from the rolls, you can only get clues from the hunt
Oh,
tokens.
I was thinking that. I think maybe I think that might be the change I make is you have to spend the token to get the clue. That might be the right move, I think.
Because it kind of is then even kind of is just miniaturizing the like 3 token use of the hunt token where like in the normal game you spend 3 tokens and you get like the whole shebang spelled out for you, and this is like a smaller version.
It's a granular way of doing it. Yeah, I think that's probably the right move. Yeah, because in Brindlewood Bay, when you're like at the end of a Brindlewood Bay mystery, the group usually has about 8 or 9 clues, and that's a good number. Like this was a lot. This was like 12 clues. Like that's a huge amount. Way more than you need to actually solve the mystery. And so I think I just need to figure out a way of like getting the pace of clue distribution down. I think
the problem you will have with this, of course, is that if you reduce it to spend a token, get a clue, then you don't have any complications associated with the clues anymore, which might be fine, but...
Yeah, I think that's okay. Well, because it could come from the die roll, right? I mean, you still are going to have whatever complication might come from the die roll, right? So I think that might be okay, but I don't know. I'll figure it out. I mean, I'm mostly just doing this as a lark. This is not something I'm like super committed to or whatever, but I mean, I'm just, just hopefully everybody's having fun with it. It's fun, but... And I just like mystery games.
Yeah, I think another star for the whole thing, in a sense that what I learned today about this is that it creates a lot of narrative, of course. Like, I think the great thing about this, to have it now in this kind of in-between thing, is because it adds, again, a lot of narrative and fictional complexity, because you suddenly have this very role-play heavy mystery session. And I think that's really... in a way, if you want to kind of boost the character narratives and the kind of narrative situation, and of course at the end we kind of went to 11 with this because of all the but still I think I think it was that's another thing why it's really great to have this in here now, because it kind of boosted the whole thing.
Yeah, what I've done these little one-off sessions, one mystery one that wasn't, but it was just a little one-off like social session, and the social sessions really do a lot to like really brings out a lot of character development when you do the like social kind of stuff, which is really needed in a game like Trophy Gold, because Trophy Gold is otherwise so dungeon focused, right? So you kind of need to have those little breaks, but we'll be getting back to the dungeon next time. So
yeah, and I think there's something nice about like having these little one-off sessions where we're not worried about our burdens.
That's a big one too. Yeah. That's another big one. Like where the burdens are not a big deal. So you can kind of let loose a little bit, kind of relax a little bit, not worry about, oh shit, I haven't met my burdens yet.
Yeah, because the burdens do a brilliant job of like being there over your head.
Oh yeah.
But then it also, I mean, as it's meant to do, puts a focus then on the session of I need to find gold. Exactly, I need to make sure I have enough gold to fulfill my burdens.
Which is the game's main concern. But yeah, it is nice to have like a little like break from the burdens every now and then. So definitely. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you all go. I'm gonna stop the recording.